Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Bhagavad Gita. Today's verse is chapter 7, text 27, the Dualities of Delusion. icchā-dveṣa-samutthena dvandva-mohena bhārata sarva-bhūtāni sammohaṁ sarge yānti parantapa. So we'll quickly say our Mangalacharan prayers and begin the study of this verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today's verse is quite an important one. 727, chapter 7, text 27. icchā-dveṣa-samutthena dvandva-mohena Bharata sarva-bhūtāni sammohaṁ sarge yānti parantapa. icchā-dveṣa-samutthena dvandva-mohena Bharata sarva-bhūtāni sammohaṁ sarge yānti parantapa. icchā-dveṣa-samutthena dvandva-mohena Bharata sarva-bhūtāni sammohaṁ sarge yānti parantapa. Icchā, desire, dvesha and hate, samutthena, arisen from, dvandva, of duality, mohena, by the illusion, Bharata, O scion of Bharata, sarva, all, bhūtāni, living entities, sammohaṁ, into delusion, sarge, while taking birth, yānti, go, parantapa, O conqueror of enemies. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. Purport: the real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination to the Supreme Lord, who is pure knowledge. When one is deluded into separation from this pure knowledge, he becomes controlled by illusory energy and cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The illusory energy is manifested in the duality of desire and hate. Due to desire and hate, the ignorant person wants to become one with the Supreme Lord and envies Kṛṣṇa as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pure devotees who are not deluded or contaminated by desire and hate can understand that Lord Sri Krishna appears by his internal potencies, but those who are deluded by duality and nescience think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is created by material energies. This is their misfortune. Such deluded persons symptomatically dwell in dualities of honor and dishonor, misery and happiness, woman and man, good and bad, pleasure and pain, etc., thinking, this is my wife, this is my house, I am the master of this house, I am the husband of this wife. These are the dualities of delusion. Those who are so deluded by dualities are completely foolish and therefore cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, as a continuation of the previous verse, in the previous verse he says, Mam tu vedana kaśchana, no one knows me. So, why no one knows him? So, when he says no one, of course, in one sense, no one, even Kṛṣṇa himself, it is said that Kṛṣṇa is so great and infinite in his qualities and knowledge, that when his knowledge is aware of all his qualities, then his qualities increase. Then his knowledge will catch up with that, and then there will be increase in his qualities again, and then the knowledge will catch up. So even he has not reached the end of his own glories. So in one way, yes, Kṛṣṇa, what to speak of Kṛṣṇa himself, what to speak of even such great devatas as Shiva, Brahma, and all the lesser devatas and the human beings, everyone, no one knows about Kṛṣṇa. Brahma himself also said clearly that, people may say whatever they want. They may say, I know everything about you. Let them think that way, but this is what I say. Jananta eva janantu kim bahuktya name prabho manaso vapusho vacho vaibhavam tava gocharaha. There are people who say, I know everything about Kṛṣṇa. Let them think that way. As far as I am concerned, I do not wish to speak very much about this matter. Oh my Lord, let me say this much. As far as your opulences are concerned, they are all beyond the reach of my mind, body and words. So Lord Brahma is saying this. So, even such great demigods as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they do not know about Kṛṣṇa, about the glories of Kṛṣṇa. You see, that's why they bow down. They don't try to understand him. They bow down. Of course, they will understand because of bhakti. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. When you have devotional service or when you are in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, then you can understand Kṛṣṇa by his grace. With our intelligence, namedhaya naham bahuna shrutena. With our intelligence, we cannot understand. Dhyeyam sada paribhavagnamabhishtadoham tirthaspadam shiva virinchinutam sharanyam Bhrityartiham pranatapala bhavabdhipotam Vande mahapurushate charanaravindam. So Shiva virinchinutam means what? Shiva Virinchi means Brahma, Shiva means Lord Shiva. By the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Brahma, Nutam, which are bowed down. So even they bow down to him. In another place it is said here, 12.344, Yannamadheyam riyamana aturaha Patan skhalan va vivasho grinan puman Vimukta karmargala uttamam gatim Prapnoti yakshyanti natam kalaujana. Terrified, about to die, a man collapses on his bed. Although his voice is faltering and is hardly conscious of what he is saying, if he utters the holy name of the Supreme Lord, he can be freed from the reaction of his fruitive work and achieve the supreme destination. But still, people in this age of Kali will not worship the Supreme Lord. Actually, I wanted to show the previous verse. Kalo narajan jagatam param gurum trilokanathanata pada pankajam prayena martya bhagavantam achyutam yakshanti pashanda vibhinna chetasaha. O king, in the age of Kali, people's intelligence will be diverted by atheism, and they will almost never offer sacrifice to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Spiritual Master of the universe. Although the great personalities who control the three worlds all bow down to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, the petty and miserable human beings of this age will not do so. Trilokanatha Anata Pada Pankajam. Anata, Nata means to bow down. Anata means bow down to Pada Pankajam. So, Trilokanatha Natapada Pankajam. All the controllers of the three worlds, they bow down at the lotus feet of Krishna, but the petty miserable human beings do not do so, because they are into this delusion. What is this delusion? It starts from our envy towards Krishna. Why are we in this material world? This material world is a place of suffering, dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So this is not a very happy place. It is an abode of miseries. So why did God put us here? Because we have gone against Him. So He's so selfish that if we just go against Him, He will just make us suffer? No, He does not want us to suffer. In fact, He gave this place to us for our enjoyment. But not only we alone, but there are trillions of such living entities who wanted to rebel against the Supreme Lord. Because in the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha, He is the monarch. He is the Supreme Lord. And everybody lovingly serves Him. It's not that He carries a whip and He whips everyone who doesn't serve Him. No. It's all based on love in the spiritual world. So when we wanted to misuse our independence, Krishna gave us some independence. You may ask, why did He give it then? Okay. So we are His part and parcels. Mamaivamso jivaloke jiva-bhūta sanatana. Krishna says in the 15th chapter, 7th verse, that we are His parts and parcels. Just like fire and spark. The spark comes out from fire. It has the same quality of fire, but it does not have the same quantity of fire. So the fire can burn maybe a whole house or even a forest, but a spark can only burn a small hole in a cloth, something like that. So the same fiery quality is there, but of very minute quantity. So similarly, the other example is like the drop of the ocean. So ocean, at least on this earth, has salt. 35% of it is salt. And if you take a drop from the ocean, it will also have 35% salt. So same quality. But the quantity of salt in the drop and in the entire ocean is entirely different. So just like that, Krishna is the infinite living entity. We are the infinitesimal living entities. Infinite in number, but infinitesimal in size. Now, so we have the same qualities as God. So Krishna, one of His qualities is He is Swarat. He is completely independent. He can do whatever He wants. So we also have independence. We can also do whatever we want, but under condition. We can do whatever we want. That's why we have choice, right? We can do anything we want. But when we do, we don't have that much of a choice, because He, being the Supreme Lord, He has the power to do anything He wants. But if we do anything we want, we will be interfering with somebody else's desire to do whatever he wants. And when that clashes, there will be consequence. So we can only do a small radius of, a small domain of what we can do and cannot do. Like for example, I can go and kill anyone. Yes, I can, but I have to pay the consequences. Krishna does not have that. Krishna does not have to pay anything to anyone. He has no karma. The law of karma does not act on him, but it acts on us, because in this material world, we actually, first of all, before even coming to this material world, our choice, our free will, we only have two choices. Either we cooperate with Krishna or we choose not to do so. That's all. And in the matter of choosing not to do so, in that domain we can do whatever we want, yes. But it ultimately means I choose not to obey Kṛṣṇa. When I obey Kṛṣṇa, yes, I can cooperate with his enjoyment. And our original position, because we are part and parcel, mama eva amsha, Kṛṣṇa says. We are Kṛṣṇa's amsha, a part and parcel. So just like this finger is a part and parcel of this body, so this finger's duty is to cooperate with the body, put the food in the stomach, not to eat the food by itself. No, finger says, I will eat my own food. I will not put in the stomach. Why I should cooperate with the stomach? No, only then we will get your nourishment. So we also get our nourishment of happiness and eternal life and knowledge and everything by serving Kṛṣṇa, who is our root. Just like tree has a root, we have a stomach. So once you feed the stomach, all parts of the body are fed. Once you water the root, every part of the tree, however big it is, it will be nourished. So Kṛṣṇa is our root. So we all are parts and parcels of Kṛṣṇa, and therefore our happiness can only be had if we serve Kṛṣṇa. Now, we having that slight amount of independence, we misused that. There are many souls in the Vaikuntha planets, way greater in number than the total number of souls in the material world, at least 3 times greater. They are in the Vaikuntha planets. They did not misuse their independence and they are serving the Lord eternally. Now we, icchā-dveṣa-samutthena, we have entered into this material world. 1/4 of the living entities, 1/4 of all living entities, we have entered into this material world. Because we chose not to cooperate with Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa says, okay, fine. So since you wanted to be a competitor of me, so okay, I will put you in the material world. I will give you a whole universe. You rule it. So when we come here, we become Brahma in the beginning. So we start controlling the entire universe. Now, there are not only one universe, there are millions and trillions of universes. So there are many people, many souls who want to become Brahma. So all of them are given chance. Not only want, they have to desire and deserve as well. Not just desire. Just desiring without deserving is entitlement. So that sense of entitlement is not entertained. So one has to deserve as well. So in the beginning, he gives us the entire universe. So then we govern. And then we clash with somebody else's progress or sense gratification or his desires. So then we have to pay. Because he wants to be a supreme controller, you also want to be supreme controller. And somewhere there has to be a clash. And in that, I will hurt that other person in some way or other. And for that, I have to start paying. I have to start paying. For example, jivo jivasya jivanam. Just for our survival, we have to eat. So to eat, we have to sometimes sacrifice a life, whether it be a plant or an animal. Another person's very life is taken just for our sustenance. So the way this material world is there is that we have to, we are bound to encroach upon other people's sense gratification, and that is when law of karma applies. So this law of karma is not employed just to punish us, it is actually to protect us, so that if somebody else comes, he will be punished, so that will be a deterrent for him. So everybody can progress provided everybody follows the rules and regulations of the Vedas. Just like in a country, everybody can make their own progress if everybody follows the rules. So if I just want to follow I just want to break all the rules and then I want to have it my way, I can't have it. Now when the traffic light says red, I have to stop. I have to let the other person pass on the crossroads. So I cannot say that no, my work is more important than anybody else's, I want to go. Yeah, I can beat the red light. What happens? Either I get fined or I can get into an accident. I can die. So in this way, this whole material world is designed where we can either choose to obey the Supreme Lord and again regain our original Kṛṣṇa consciousness and go back to Godhead, Krishna Loka, or revolve in this cycle of birth and death, and in this way we can keep on continuing here. The choice is ours. So, with all that background, those who are here in this material world, those who want to understand the Supreme Lord, those who want to understand everything, why we have to understand the Supreme Lord in the first place? Well, science. What is science? Science means to know, or at least the attempt to know everything. And we call it Veda. Veda means knowledge. Knowledge and science is basically non-different. So Veda means knowledge, and the scientists, they are also trying to know everything with their instruments, with their theorizing, with their postulations, whatever it is. Now, you cannot know everything by denying the creator of everything. You cannot deny that there is no creator, first place. Just because I don't see him does not mean he is not there. If a rocket is launched with, a rocket which launches into space and in orbit, that is actually a product of the intelligence, combined intelligence of thousands or millions of people, at least thousands of scientists and engineers, right? So if that much intelligence is what it takes to put one small scrap of one small piece of metal into the orbit or into the space, what to speak of gigantic planets, and there are millions of them. All the stars that we see in the night sky, who has placed them in the space? And it is full of life. It's not, as the scientists say, it's completely empty. No. It's full of life. Every single planet, whether they can see or cannot see, we don't care, is full of life. And vibhuti bhinnam, there is different kinds of atmosphere on each and every planet. That is all confirmed in our Shastras already. So, he has created all this, and science, as the modern scientists have presented, is an attempt to know everything as much as possible and go on knowing more and more. So the same thing, we as followers of Krishna consciousness, as followers of the Vedas, we can have the same knowledge, but without observation and experimentation. Because our observation is imperfect. We cannot understand things as they are. We cannot see things as they are. We are so limited in our perception, in our thinking power, and in our intelligence. So we cannot know. We have to accept that. We have to admit that we are insufficient in knowing everything. Now, how to know then? So Krishna is kind enough that he is agreeable to fulfill our curiosity, and for two reasons. One is he is letting us know about the knowledge of the universe as much as we can understand, at least. And he is also giving knowledge of himself. Now, when the Creator himself gives the knowledge of the creation, that is the best knowledge. What is the use of my scientific so-called instruments and theories and postulations? With my tiny mind, I cannot understand everything. With a very skewed perspective, I cannot understand. So I have to understand it through the word of the Creator. He knows everything best, and that is the best way. So he tells us all this not only to satisfy our curiosity, but also to save our time. Because human life, we have very limited time. And if we keep on exploring this world, this universe, we will never end. Panthastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayorathapi manaso muni pungavanam sopyasti yat prapadasim nyavichinta tattve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Even if we explore this universe for millions and trillions of years, we will never understand the extent of this universe, and we also will have zero clue about who is the creator of this universe. Zero clue. So we are wasting our time, and human life is so valuable because in human life we can make a complete solution of our repeated birth and death cycle and end our miseries for good and return back home, back to Godhead. So how, because we are creatures of knowledge, we want knowledge, we want happiness. So how is our knowledge going to get completed? How are we going to complete our quest for knowledge if the universe is so vast and it's so difficult to know about everything? So therefore Kṛṣṇa gives. This is the knowledge about universe, and this much you need to know. But most importantly, you should know that I am the creator, and I created this for this purpose, that for your reformation, so that you eventually understand. I have sahayajñā praja srištva. I have created this entire universe, entire material world, and I have also created not only the bodies of everyone, but also I have created the process of yajna. Kṛṣṇa is saying the process of yajna is a way by which we start sacrificing our tendency for sense gratification for the pleasure of the Lord. So that's why there are many yajnas, sometimes to the devatas who are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. And that is usually done for material benefits, which is not for intelligent people, but at least that's the start. So, but eventually one has to come to pure devotional service. Ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaja. So we have to render devotional service to Kṛṣṇa without any motive. That's the whole point, to get us to that platform of unconditional surrender and service to the Supreme Lord. So it is to reform us. Okay, you want to enjoy, fine. So Kṛṣṇa is like this. So you want to, interfere with others' enjoyment for your enjoyment, then you're going to get into sinful activities. But if you follow my path of yajna, okay, you want to go to heavenly planets, fine. You worship this devata and go there. So although going there to the heavenly planets is not the real fruit of the whole thing, because Kṛṣṇa really wants to purify our desires. But because we have this vibhinna chetasaha. This vibhinna chetasaha means we are separatist. So we have separate interests from the Lord. We don't have the same interests as the Lord. So okay, fine. Do at least this, you will get this. So in the process of going to the heavenly planets, one is obliged to do the Vedic rites, Vedic rituals, which are mentioned in the Vedas. So that is at least obedience to the Supreme Lord. And then there is worship of the Supreme Lord Vishnu in every yajna, even if it is for the devatas, because the devatas can only take the share of the sacrifice that is offered to Vishnu. So one has to offer it to Vishnu, and then the share of the sacrifice as a prasadam has to be offered to the deity of the particular demigod, and that's the way to offer it. So therefore worship of Vishnu is automatically there inside that. So in this way one is made at least slightly obedient, and after a course of many lifetimes one can be perfected, and then he can go back to Godhead. One can come to this platform of unconditional devotion. So those who are not interested in the whole program, they cannot know Kṛṣṇa, because unless you come to bhakti, we cannot know Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa says here, 1855, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato jñātva vishate tadanantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So a person can enter into the kingdom of God only when he is in full consciousness of Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa, that means in full Kṛṣṇa consciousness. And by this bhakti, bhaktya mam abhijanati, by devotional service to Kṛṣṇa only we can understand Kṛṣṇa. He does not allow himself to be understood by anyone else. So, not that he does not allow, he allows, but we cover ourselves with ulterior motives, because of which we cannot understand Kṛṣṇa. But when we are in pure bhakti yoga, then there is like sun, which is unobstructed by any cloud. We can see the sun straight. So we can have the full advantage of the sun. So similarly, bhaktyamam abhijanati. And another place also it is said, bhaktyaham ekaya grahya. Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya shraddhayatma priyah satam bhaktih punatiman nishtha shvapakan api sambhavat. Grahya, I am to be obtained. One can capture Krishna by bhakti only. One can know him and can capture him. And once we know Krishna, then we will know everything. You see here, Yo mam evam sammudho janati purushottamam sa sarva-vid bhajati mam sarva-bhāvena bhārata. Bhagavad Gita 15.19. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. So this is the thing. So the perfect scientist is he who knows everything. And only a devotee can be the perfect scientist. No one else can be the perfect scientist. They cannot even come close. Not even in a million years, not even in a billion trillion years. Panthastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayorathapi manaso munipungavana. I cannot. Only a devotee knows everything because he does not endeavor to know everything by his own instrument. He just has devotion to Krishna and Krishna reveals everything to him through the spiritual master, through the Shastra. So in this way, we have to have perfect life of knowledge, happiness and eternity. So human life is meant to get us to the platform of eternity, bliss and knowledge in the kingdom of God. So this life is a preparation to go back home, back to Godhead. We have come very far away from home. Very, very far away. We have to go back. So Krishna says, you see, one who knows me is the knower of everything. But here he says, no, Mam tu vedana Kṛṣṇa. Me no one knows. No one means he is referring to the people of this material world who are basically averse to him. The ones who are mentioned here in the previous verse, 725. Naam prakāśa sarvasya yogamāyā samāvritah mūdhoyam nābhijanāti loko māṁ ajam avyayam. For them I am covered by my internal potency and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. So the foolish and unintelligent, they cannot know him and they are involved. Such foolish and unintelligent persons are involved in icchā-dveṣa-samutthena. So in this way, what is that icchā-dveṣa? They are dualities of desire and hate, of icchā, of want, or of hating it. Sometimes, just like water, for example, in summer we want it, in winter we hate it. Same thing, but we are having two different opinions about it under different circumstances. So, likewise, so the reality is one, but we are having these different viewpoints, different angles. We are categorizing something as good or bad based on my sense gratification. If it can help in my sense gratification, that is good. If it does not help, that is bad. That's how we decide everything. Like water in summer is good, we feel good because we feel good in it. Oh, water is cooling. The same water in winter it's cold. We want something warm. So, same water we despise in winter. So this thing happen, icchā-dveṣa. For everything, and this is just one example, but everything is like this. So, if we know Krishna, we know everything, and we will know him also. In fact, devotees are so powerful that Krishna cannot hide. And not only Krishna, they know everything about the Lord. Okay. See here. Ullangita trividha sima samātiṣāyi sambhavanam tava parivradhimasvabhavam maya balena bhavatapi niguhyamanam pashyanti kechidhanisham tvadananya bhavaha. O my Lord, everything within material nature is limited by time, space and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your energy, but nevertheless, your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. प्रेमाञ्जनच्छुरितभक्तिविलोचनेन सन्तः सदैव हृदयेषु विलोकयन्ति यं श्यामसुन्दरमचिन्त्य गुणस्वरूपं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. Santah sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Sadaiva means always the devotees see him. No matter, even if he hides, even if he plays hide and seek, not with the devotees, they can search him out. Not search, they don't need to search. In fact, the Lord is visible everywhere to them. The Lord cannot hide from them, from a devotee, because yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyati. 6.30 Bhagavad Gita. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. And the previous verse as well. sarva-bhūtāsthamatmanam sarva-bhūtāni chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized soul sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. So how can the devotee, how can Krishna hide from a devotee? Another verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, Sthavar Jangam Dekhe. Here, actually, we can read this one also. Mahabhagavat dekhe sthavar jangam taha taha hoy tar Shri Krishna spuran. A devotee advanced on the spiritual platform, Mahabhagavat, okay, first class advanced devotee, sees everything movable and inert as the Supreme Lord. For him, everything he sees here and there is but a manifestation of Lord Krishna. The Mahabhagavat, the advanced devotee, certainly sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. Sthavar jangam dekhe na dekhe tar murti sarvatra hoy nija ishta deva spurti. So in this way, many places it is said. So not only can the pure devotee see him everywhere at all times, in all circumstances, but it goes even more than that. Krishna says something even more. Krishna says, not only do they see me, but they control my very existence. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aham Bhakta Paradhino Hi Asvatantra Ivadvija Sadhubhirgrasta Hridayo Bhaktair Bhakta Janapriyaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmana, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the cause of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee? Even those who are devotees of my devotee are very dear to me. So what is Krishna saying here? I am not at all independent. I am completely under the control of my devotees. Right? It goes even more than this. Okay, let's, on this same note, we will show something else first. You see how he is under the control of devotees. Sarathya parashada sevana sakhya dautya virasanānugamanastavana pranaman snigdheshu pandushu jagat pranatim cha vishnor bhaktim karoti nirpatis charanaravinde. This is how Krishna was controlled by Pandavas. Maharaj Parikshit heard that out of his causeless mercy, Lord Krishna or Vishnu, who is universally obeyed, rendered all kinds of service to the malleable sons of Pandu by accepting posts ranging from chariot driver to president to messenger, friend, night watchman, etc., according to the will of the Pandavas, obeying them like a servant and offering obeisances like one younger in years. When he heard this, Maharaj Parikshit became overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord. The Supreme Lord, who is the master of the three worlds, and great demigods are always bowing down before him, he became controlled by his devotees, the Pandavas, and he served them in so many ways. And you see there are many expressions of this, but you see another one I will show you. Kunti Devi is saying, Gopya dade tvayi kritagasiddham tavad yāte dashashru kalilanjana sambhramaksham vaktram niniya bhayabhavanaya sthitasya samam vimohayati bhir apiyad bibheti. My dear Krishna, Yashoda, Kunti Devi is saying this, the mother of the Pandavas. Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you were afraid. Though fear personified is afraid of you, this sight is bewildering to me. How come you are saying this kind of statements where, I'll show you, Krishna is saying this, Madbhayad vati vatoyam suryastapati madbhayat varshati indro dahatyagnir mrityuscharati madbhayat. It is because of my supremacy that the wind blows out of fear of me. The sun shines out of fear of me. And the Lord of the clouds, Indra, sends forth showers of rain out of fear of me. Fire burns out of fear of me, and death goes about taking its toll out of fear of me. Okay, everybody is scared of me. Everybody fears me. Not only that, they fear my name even. You see here, Krishna's name is, how powerful Krishna's name is. Apannah samsritim ghoram yannama vivashogrinan tatah sadyo vimuccheta yad bibheti swayam bhayam. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. Not only is Krishna, everything is following his order out of fear of him, but his name even, fear personified, is fears Krishna's name. Now, when somebody has that much of control, that much of supremacy and unparalleled supremacy, how come Kunti Devi is saying, how come you are afraid of the rope of Mother Yashoda and you are crying out of fear? That is how much Krishna is controlled by his devotees. And it does not stop there. Not only is Krishna controlled by his devotees, Krishna worships his devotees. Seven 14:42. Nanvasya brahmana rajan krishnasya jagadatmanah punantah padarajasa trilokim daivatam mahat. My dear King Yudhishthira, the Brahmanas, especially those engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord throughout the entire world, are recognized and worshipped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the heart and soul of all creation. The Brahmanas, by their preaching, sanctify the three worlds with the dust of their lotus feet, and thus they are worshipable even for Kṛṣṇa. And we saw this when Krishna worshipped Sudama Vipra. He worshipped nicely, washing his feet, seating him on his own bed. And Rukmini was fanning him. That is the respect, that is the worship that Krishna offers his the Brahmanas, who are qualified Brahmanas, who are devotees. That's why one of the verses glorifying Krishna is Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Namo Brahmanya Devaya means who is worshipped by Brahmanas, and who worships Brahmanas. Both. Brahmanyam means to worship, to serve the Brahmanas. So that's why he took birth in Kshatriya family, so that he can worship the Brahmanas. He took birth in Kshatriya family, but engaged himself in Vaishya occupations of agriculture and cow protection in his childhood. Again, Brahmanyam, to serve the Brahmanical order. So he wants to be the servant of Brahmanas, which is why, as far as possible, he will take birth in the Kshatriya families when he takes birth in the human life. Of course, he did take birth in Brahmana community as well, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Vamanadev, like that. But he does this, comes in Kshatriya form, Varna, because to serve the Brahmanas. Brahmanyam. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Go Brahmana Hita. Hita means well-wisher of Go and Brahmana. Go means cows. Brahmana means Brahmanical culture. So he especially is the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmanas, the qualified Brahmanas. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Kṛṣṇāya Govindāya Namo Namaha. So once this cow protection and Brahmanical culture is intact, then Jagadhitaya automatically will happen. The entire universe benefit will be there, just by taking care of these two classes of living entities, the cows and the Brahmanas. So this is what Krishna's position is, and I'll show you another one. There is another verse. This is very beautiful. He says how he says it. You see, this is how much he sacrifices his very self to the devotee. You see, in the 316.6 Srimad Bhagavatam, Yasyamrita yashah shravanavagaha sadyah punati jagadashvapachad vikuntha soham bhavadhya upalabdha sutirtha kirtish chhedyam svabahum apivaha pratikula vrittim. Now, this is the Lord Vishnu speaking to the four Kumaras just after the cursing of the Jaya and Vijay. They were a little angry with how Jaya and Vijay, the personal servants of the Lord, have behaved with them. So they were angry, and they were his devotees. They were Vishnu's devotees, right? So Jaya and Vijay committed Vaishnava aparadha by not allowing them to enter the Vaikuntha realm. So that aparadha they did to the devotees of Vishnu. Now both are devotees, but one devotee offended another devotee. Now you see what the Lord is saying to the four Kumaras. Anyone in the entire world, even down to the Chandala, who lives by cooking and eating the flesh of the dog, is immediately purified if he takes bath in hearing through the ear the glorification of my name, fame, etc. Now you have realized me without doubt, he is saying to the four Kumaras. Therefore, now you have become my devotees, and therefore I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm, if its conduct is found hostile to you. Lord is saying, I will cut off my own arm if its conduct is hostile to you, my devotees. I mean, how much he is sold out to the devotees. Which is what he meant by this. The Jaya and Vijay, who are the doorkeepers of the Lord, are as good as, are very dear to the Lord, because that's why they are his doorkeepers, right? But he is ready to give them up, ready to punish them, just because their conduct has become hostile to you. What to speak of them? I will lop off my own arm, Vishnu is saying, if its conduct is found hostile to you. This is how much he worships the devotees. And next verse. Yat sevaya charana padma pavitra renum sadyah kshatakilamalam pratilabdha sheelam nashrir viraktim apimam vijahati yasyah preksha-lavartha itare niyaman vahanti. The Lord continued, because I am the servitor of my devotees, because I am the servitor of my devotees, yat sevaya, by whose service, because I am the servitor of my devotees, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin, and I have acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, even though I have no attachment for her. And even though others praise her beauty and observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor, even great demigods, see, others means itare, others like Lord Brahma. Even great demigods, they try to achieve little slight favor of Lakshmi, but she is not interested in them. But I am not even interested in her, but she does not leave me. How did I get this much power? Only by service to my devotees. Krishna is saying like this. I have acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, because I am the servitor of my devotees. My lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin. So he is saying that the Ganga, which is the water emanating from his feet, is purifying everyone, because he has acquired that much power that the water from his feet can purify the three worlds, only because he worships the devotees. That much he worships the devotees. So it is not that no one knows him, no one can know him. No, a pure devotee always sees him, not just knowing him, sees him always, and controls him and is worshipped by him. So, how to come to that stage? Now we are here. Icchā-dveṣa-samutthena dvandva-mohena bhārata. So from here, obviously this is a very attractive position, right? If one can be so close to Kṛṣṇa, and Kṛṣṇa is so kind. Kṛṣṇa is very kind. He is ready to take us, but we are not ready to go back to him. So, icchā-dveṣa-samutthena. We are here now. We have given up Kṛṣṇa. We have come into this world with the mood of sense gratification, and here icchā-dveṣa. We are calculating good and bad according to how much it favors our sense gratification. There is some kind of there's some comments by Nishita Mataji. So from Chaitanya Bhagavat Adilila chapter 12, whenever the Supreme Lord performed any pastime, his activities could not be equaled by anyone. When the Lord feels like performing his chivalrous pastimes, when there is no one to challenge his majesty over weapons, and when he wants to reveal his amorous pastimes, then he captivates the hearts of millions of damsels. When he wants to enjoy opulence, then his opulence and magnificence is unmatched. Now in his pastime as an erudite scholar, there is no one to match his insolent arrogance. And when the same Lord accepts the renounced order of life, then who can excel him in devotion, dedication and renunciation? Is there anyone in the three worlds to match him? Yet, in all his incarnations and pastimes, the zenith of all activities is voluntary, loving defeat in the hands of his pure unalloyed devotees. Beautifully said. Beautiful. In all his incarnations, the zenith of all activities is voluntary, loving defeat in the hands of his pure unalloyed devotees. It reminds me of this verse. The Supreme Lord, the owner of the six opulences, who can give anything to anyone, has expressed his defeat. Na parayeham niravadya samyujam svasadhu krityam vibudhayushapi vah Yama bhajandur jarageha shrinkhala samvrishya tadvah pratiyatu sadhuna. Krishna is saying to the gopis, I am not able to repay my debt for your spotless service, even within a lifetime of Brahma. Your connection with me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties, which are difficult to break. Therefore, please let your own glorious deeds be your compensation. I have nothing in my possession to pay or return. You have gifted me with your life and everything. I have nothing in my possession to gift you anything. I cannot repay my debt. He feels indebted to the service of the devotee. This is how much the Supreme. Okay. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, Vasudeva Datta, extremely great devotee, he said, even Rantidev said this in the Bhagavatam, actually. So he said that, my Lord, please transfer all the sinful reactions of every living soul to me. Let me suffer in this world alone. Please take them back to Godhead. I can't see them suffering. I can't. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I really appreciate this mood of yours that exemplifies how a Vaishnava's thinking is, how compassionate he is. But honestly, even if the entire universe was emptied, every one of them liberated, what difference does it make, Vasudev? Because this universe is like one mustard seed in a whole bag full of mustard seeds. You take out one mustard seed, it's hardly going to make any difference in the weight, in the quantity, nothing. It doesn't make any difference. So, that means even if a devotee is so powerful that he alone sanctifies the entire universe, every single living entity in the universe is delivered by his endeavor. Of course, Krishna says, there's no greater devotee and no greater soul than a preacher of my glories. No one more dear to me. But actually, even if a person can deliver an entire universe, still, it is actually very insignificant service for the Lord. Because there are millions of mustard seeds. This is just one. One mustard seed you have delivered. Okay, fine. What about the millions? So, in the quantity, it's hardly anything. But Krishna is so kind that he is happy even if one soul turned towards him. And if somebody becomes an instrument in doing that, he glorifies that person as if Krishna himself is indebted to that person. So in this way, Krishna is situated. So that is the glorious position, that is a loving relationship that a devotee can have with Krishna. But we have left all of that. We have left that Supreme Lord, that most merciful Supreme Lord, and we have come here in this world of icchā-dveṣa-samutthena, dvandva-mohena bhārata. Now, sarva-bhūtāni sammohaṁ sarge yānti parantapa. Icchā-dveṣa. So we are calculating according to our sense gratification. So we have created this good and bad. But everything in this world is relative. So I will take you to these verses. See, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11:28:1. Let's go to 1 first. Shri Bhagavan parasvabhava karmani na prashamsen na garhayet vishvam ekamakam pashyan prakritya purushena cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one should neither praise nor criticize the conditioned nature and activities of other persons. Rather, one should see this world as simply the combination of material nature and the enjoying souls, all based on the one absolute truth. Okay. We should not be praising and criticizing. This is duality. Oh, this is good, so I'll praise it. This is bad, so I'll criticize it. And the same thing which is criticized by one person is praised by another person. And the same thing which is criticized by that person is praised by this person. And the same thing which is praised by this person is criticized by the other person. So, what is our basis? You see? So one should neither praise nor criticize the conditioned nature and activities of other persons. So that's, and then next one. Parasvabhava karmani yah prashamsati nindati sa ashubhrashyate swarthad asatyabhiniveshatah. Whoever indulges in praising or criticizing the qualities and behavior of others will quickly become deviated from his own best interest by his entanglement in illusory dualities. Now, so although these are not Prabhupada's purports, but interesting instructions here. Material situations and activities appear to be good, passionate, or ignorant according to the interaction of the modes of nature. These modes are produced by the illusory potency of the Lord, which is itself not different from its master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So a devotee of the Lord remains aloof from the illusory temporary manifestations of material nature. At the same time, he accepts the material nature as the potency of the Lord and thus essentially real. The example may be given that modeling clay, the children play with what is that? Play-Doh, modeling clay. The example may be given that modeling clay is shaped by a child into various playful forms such as tigers, men, or houses. The modeling clay is real, whereas the temporary shapes it assumes are illusory, not being actual tigers, men, or houses. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation is modeling clay in the hands of the Supreme Lord, who acts through Maya to shape the glaring temporary forms of illusion which absorb the minds of those who are not devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here, whoever indulges in praising and criticizing the qualities of others and behavior of others will quickly become deviated from his own best interest by his entanglement in illusory dualities. Now, here also, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary also will be here. But we will just, here where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's this thing starts. But we will just read the purport here also. You see, this is also not Prabhupada's purport, this whole 11th canto is not his purport. But it is a valid point. Okay? A conditioned soul desires to lord it over material nature and thus criticizes another conditioned soul whom he considers inferior. Or he envies somebody who is superior in the matter of dominating. So, a conditioned soul desires to lord it over material nature and thus criticizes another conditioned soul whom he considers inferior. Similarly, one praises a superior materialist because one aspires to that superior position in which one may dominate others. Praising and criticizing other materialistic people are thus directly or indirectly based on envy of other living entities and cause one to fall down from swa-artha, one's real self-interest, Kṛṣṇa consciousness. This is very important. Praising and criticizing other materialistic people are thus directly or indirectly based on envy. I only praise this person because I want to be inspired and I want to be as good or even greater than him. Okay? And if I, ridicule someone or, criticize someone, that means I feel this, I feel I'm better. So in this way, it is actually based on envy. And it is a deviation from our real self-interest. The words asati abhiniveshatah, by absorption in the temporary or unreal, indicate that one should not adopt a concept of material duality and praise or criticize other materialistic persons. Rather, one should praise the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord and criticize the mentality of rebellion against the personality of Godhead, by which one becomes a non-devotee. This is important. You see again, by absorption in the temporary or unreal, indicate that one should not adopt a concept of material duality and praise or criticize other materialistic persons. Rather, one should praise the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord and criticize the mentality of rebellion against the personality of Godhead, by which one becomes a non-devotee. One should not criticize a low-class materialist thinking that a high-class materialist is nice. In other words, one should distinguish between the material and the spiritual and should not become absorbed in good and bad on the material platform. For example, an honest citizen distinguishes between the life of civil freedom and that of imprisonment, whereas a foolish prisoner distinguishes between comfortable and uncomfortable prison cells. Just as for a free citizen, any situation in prison is unacceptable, for a liberated Krishna conscious devotee, any material position is unappealing. So we cannot, in other words, remove entirely that concept of duality, because likes and dislikes even the Lord has. He says paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. So he saves the devotees, he kills the demons. So he is happy with some class of people and is not happy with another. So he also has this vision of duality. How come Krishna has the dual vision? How come he is not equanimous? Yeah, and Arjuna wanted to be equanimous. Oh, equanimity, I will not fight this war. I will not take any sides, I will just go to the forest. Krishna said, no, you have to fight. You have to fight on this side. For my sake. And even if you don't fight, I will make sure they will all be gone. So, if Krishna has, we being part and parcel, we cannot be in a position where we don't have such dual feelings. So, how to actually come out of this icchā-dveṣa? A devotee means his part and parcel, right? So, he also has to have. So, how come Krishna has? So, Krishna's this dual feelings is spiritual and material. He likes anything that is spiritual, and material he dislikes because it gets the living entities away from him. Suppose, okay, this is a material example, but when a young man he wants to join this movement, or sometimes even young woman or whatever. So when they want to join the movement, the father and the parents, they become jittery, they become angry. Somebody is taking my son away from me. So they become angry. So, and if somebody can join their son back with their family, he will be happy with that person, that mediator, right? So similarly, the Lord hates our sinful activities because that will get us farther away from Him. And He likes those devotees because they help everyone to come out of sinful activities so that they can come back to Him. That's why they are very dear to Him. And not only for others, but even they themselves, by serving Krishna, He is already happy. And if they preach, even more. So, His vision, He has also likes and dislikes. Every person has that. If we don't have any likes and dislikes, that means we are a stone. So we cannot be without feelings. But our feelings have to be properly channeled. We will read more of this purport, and I have actually, just before this class, I have just drawn a very simple illustration to graphically represent this. Okay. Now, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur indicates that rather than trying to separate conditioned souls by materialistic distinctions, he is an educated person, he is an uneducated person, he is a black, he is a white, he is rich, he is poor. In this way, or sometimes you say annadhanam, prasadam distribution. We are feeding the poor. We are not feeding the materially poor. I mean the person who has no money only. No, we will feed the rich also because they are also poor, spiritually the poor. So poor, just giving to the poor people and not giving to the rich people, that is again partiality. If I give rich people, then people may criticize me. No. So people may criticize whatever. Their idea of duality is different. Ours is anybody who is not a devotee is actually poor. Whether he is materially rich or materially poor doesn't matter. So our prasadam distribution is only not for only poor people. Poor people, that's why we will give. Rich people don't need this prasadam. No, everybody needs prasadam. Because only by that way we can conquer over Maya. So, or we go to only rich people and make them devotees. So poor people don't need to become devotees. Because we can get their money, rich people means. That is not the proper consciousness of a devotee. So this kind of duality we cannot have. See, so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur indicates that rather than trying to separate conditioned souls by materialistic distinctions, one should bring them together to chant the holy names of the Lord and propagate the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. A non-devotee or even an envious third-class devotee is not interested in uniting people on the platform of love of Godhead. Instead, he unnecessarily separates them by emphasizing material distinctions like communist, capitalist, black, white, rich, poor, liberal, conservative, and so on. Material life is always imperfect, full of ignorance, and disappointing in the end. Rather than praising and criticizing the high and low features of ignorance, one should be absorbed in Krishna consciousness on the spiritual platform of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. So, by uniting everyone in Krishna consciousness, we are also separating them from the non-Krishna conscious. We will try to unite everyone, but if somebody is not interested, we will filter them out. We are separating. That's why in the Nectar of Devotion it is said that atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyamcha shadbhir bhakti vinashyati. Janasanga is prohibited. Association with materialistic people is prohibited. In the next verse, the principles that are to be accepted in Krishna consciousness, utsaha nischayat dhairya tattat karma pravartanat sangatyagat. Janasanga prohibition and sangatyagat acceptance is the same thing. Right? Accepting sangatyagat means rejecting sangha. That is the same as janasanga, which is shadbhir bhakti vinashyati, which will deplete our devotion to Krishna. So 2 times it is repeated. So we are supposed to keep away from materialistic people. So there is distinction. Why? We are supposed to unite everyone? Yes, we will try. But those who are envious, those who are not ready, those who will drag down others, no, you just stay away. That's why upeksha, those who are envious, stay away from them. So the staying away is not based on color or any material distinctions, but whether they are daiva asura. Vishnu bhakta smrito daiva asurastad viparyayaha. Those who are against Vishnu or Krishna consciousness, they are asura. And those who are devotees, they are sura. And those who, although asura, but they're not exactly asura because they are having at least favorable feeling towards Krishna consciousness. So they can be made into a devotee. Innocent, Baliseshu, Kripa. So we have to offer them mercy or compassion by showing them how to become Krishna conscious. So ours is this daiva asura distinction. Dvau bhuta sargau lokesmin daiva asura evacha Vishnu bhakta smrito daiva asurastad viparyayaha. So this is the distinction that we follow. Yeah? And unite everyone on the spiritual platform. Next. Kim bhadram kim abhadram va dvaitasya vastunah kiyat vachoditam tadanritam manasadhyatamevacha. That which is expressed by material words or meditated upon by the material mind is not ultimate truth. What therefore is actually good or bad within this insubstantial world of duality, and how can the extent of such good and bad be measured? So, next verse. Although shadows, echoes and mirages are only illusory reflections of real things, such reflections do cause a semblance of meaningful or comprehensible perception. In the same way, although the identification of the conditioned soul with the material body, mind and ego is illusory, this identification generates fear within him even up to the point of death, even up to the moment of death. So in this way, everything is philosophically mentioned here very nicely. See here. The super soul alone is the ultimate controller and creator of this world, and thus he alone is also the created. How come he is the created? Because everything is coming from him, so everything is his product. Nothing is, all the created things are not different from him. Similarly, the soul of all existence himself both maintains and is maintained, withdraws and is withdrawn. No other entity can be properly ascertained as separate from him. The Supreme Soul, who nonetheless is distinct from everything and everyone else. So no one can be properly ascertained as separate from him, the Supreme Soul, who nonetheless is distinct from everything and everyone else. This is Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva. The appearance of the threefold material nature which is perceived within him has no actual basis. Rather, you should understand that this material nature composed of the three modes is simply the product of his illusory potency. One who has properly understood the process of becoming firmly fixed in theoretical and realized knowledge, as described herein by me, does not indulge in material criticism or praise. Like the sun, he wanders freely throughout this world. Like the sun, because the sun benefits everyone. It doesn't distinguish between, oh, this Brahmana must get light and then the Chandala must not get any light. No. You see, pratyakshēnānumanena nigamenaatmasamvidha ādyantavad asajñātva nihisango vicharediha. By direct perception, logical deduction, scriptural testimony, and personal realization, one should know that this world has a beginning and an end, and so is not the ultimate reality. Thus, one should live in this world without attachment. According to Srila Jiva, this is very instructive here. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, there are two main material dualities. The first duality is that one sees material good and bad, beautiful and ugly, rich and poor, and so on. The second is that one sees the entire material world as separate or independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The material nature and God are two separate things unrelated to each other. This is also duality. So that is another duality. So Jiva Goswami is very nicely mentioning here. Dvandva-mohena Bharata means this thing. There's two things. Not only by happiness, distress and all, but to consider that the material nature has no relation to the Supreme Lord, or there is no Supreme Lord, there is no supreme cause or some purpose behind this. So that is seeing it different. Bhinna drikbhavam. Bhinna drikbhavam means seeing it differently, seeing it as separate. So this is another duality. This comes from atheism. It comes from all the atheists, modern scientists. They all do not accept. It's why Jagadahuranishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kamahaitukam. See here. Asatyam apratishtamte jagadahuranishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kamahaitukam. They say that this world is unreal with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. They say the lust is the cause of everything, whereas Krishna says lust is the greatest enemy that is keeping us bound here. See how much different the whole vision is of the devotee and the non-devotee. So, when something is seen to be without a foundation, that means we see no relation between the foundation and the thing in existence. You see? Just like, for example, a tree. A tree, when you see such a big tree, we only see the half of the tree which is above the ground. The below half we do not know, but it is only because of the below half that the above half is even visible. Because if there were no roots, the tree wouldn't even stand. But we can't immediately see that root. Or another example is the Sutre Maniganaiva. Krishna says 7.7 in the Bhagavad Gita. Mattah parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Mai sarvamidam protam Sutre Maniganaiva. The pearl necklace looks beautiful. Now, you can't see the thread that is holding the necklace, but you can only see the pearls. But the pearls can only be like that because of the thread, but we can't see the thread. So if we don't see any relation to thread and the necklace, that is our defective vision, defective understanding. That is bhinna drik, seeing no relation with this and that, with the manifest and the unmanifest. So the Lord is the subtle foundation of everything, and from Him is coming everything. Aham sarvasya prabhava. Everything is emanating from me, Krishna is saying. But we don't know him. We don't see him. So, and then we come to these stupid conclusions like, only lust is the cause of everything. Organisms just reproduce based on lust. And that's how, creatures come into play, and then, they interact with each other and they create all these experiences within this world. It all comes from lust. That's their whole understanding. And they have huge projects, this and that, nations fighting this. And they've built up this whole thing on a wrong foundation. This is called the duality, dvandva-mohena. When they do not know Krishna, they do not know that he is the basis of everything. And this is what happens. Bhinna drik bhavam. So, how to combat this? Now, in many places it is said, matra sparshāsta kaunteya, shita ushna sukha dukkhada, agama payino nitya, stam sitikshasva bharata. A real devotee is advised to tolerate all these dualities, and one is perfected in his spiritual life, then all these dualities do not even bother him. That does not mean that he has no more feelings anymore now. No, he has this sense of duality because Krishna also has it, so devotee also has it. But he employs in a different way. You see here, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants. So this duality is there. Adharma I will remove and dharma I will establish. So these dualities are there. So this duality is different. So for this I drew this illustration. You see here, the top, I'll just take this part is the spiritual, and this whole part is the material. So the material good and material bad, the materialists, they argue this is good and this is bad, this is good and this is bad. Some people say this is good and this is bad. For the others, this is good and this is bad. And for some, it's like this. I'll show you. Maybe this is good and this is bad. This whole triangle is bad and this whole triangle is good. That means, just to remove a little bit of confusion there. Okay. So the lines of distinction, like this is good, this is bad for me maybe, but for another person, no, some of the thing that you say bad is also good for me, and some of the thing which you say good is also bad for me. I don't like it. For me, good is here, this thing. Part of what you consider as good, part of what you consider as bad, and here this person who we consider whatever is bad, like, okay, this is good for me and this is bad. So in this way, everybody, millions of people, and everybody has their own individual opinion, and therefore they can be, they can be infinite combinations of this, right? Because if I can duplicate this one, you see another, I can have another line like this. That can be another set of good and bad. This side good, this side good and this side bad. So I can have unlimited lines like this. So based on my, material, based on my modes actually. I'll just delete all this. So you see, so everybody is fighting here in this realm. In this realm, everybody is fighting good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. But so the spiritualist, a devotee, like the way Kṛṣṇa describes, he also has this good and bad. But his good and bad is this. This is good and this is bad. So this vertical, so the spiritual is good, the material is bad. So we cannot entirely undo our, oh, now I am just equal in everything. No, we can't be like that. We still have, as a person, we must have distinguishing things. So it is said here, chapter 2, text 16. नासतो विद्यते भावो ना भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तस्त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both, the spiritual and material. And they have concluded that this is what we should be distinguishing on. Okay, there is no change of the soul and there is no endurance, no like staying in the same, no eternality in this material world. So we have to distinguish between the permanent and the non-permanent. That is real distinction, because that gives rise to transcendental knowledge, and which extricates us from this material world of duality altogether. So we should not be criticizing the material bad and then praising the material good, but we should condemn this entire thing here and praise this thing. So what this thing is? What is that? Krishna, his dham, his name, and his devotees. So sadhu sangha is therefore very much what is that? Stressed in the shastras. Sadhu sangha sarva shastra koi. Lavamatra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. So this is the way how we understand. So now this line here in the material side, Prabhupada gave this example of dry stool and wet stool. So Prabhupada gave this example where in the fields, in the open fields, at least in the rural India, so they pass stool on the open field, somewhere which no people walk around, hopefully. So after they pass stool, of course it is wet. Now after the sun comes out, and then this business is usually done before dawn, early in the morning, and then when the sun comes up, and then with the heat it dries up the stool, and now the outer portion of the stool is dry and inside portion may be still wet. Now if I say that, oh, this outside stool is better than the inside because this is dry and that is wet, it is stool after all. So this material world is absolutely bad. That's why I wrote here, I don't know if you can see, absolute bad material world, whereas spiritual world, absolute good. So this is absolute good and absolute bad. So now this line, that vertical line I have drawn between material good and material bad, that is actually not the way it is. The real thing is like this. This is Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. The unbroken line is the division between material and spiritual. I should actually write that here. Oops, I'm sorry. So much sound I think that. Sorry, the handwriting goes off a little bit there. So anyway, so this is material, that is spiritual above. Okay? So in the material world there is tamogun, rajogun, sattvagun, and they are actually in the tamogun is the lowest, and then rajogun and then sattvagun. So eventually the living entities must rise from this from tamogun to sattvagun, and eventually, actually I should draw it here. They should go from to sattvagun, from tamogun to sattvagun, and then break this barrier and go to pure Shuddha Sattva. That is the whole purpose of the different injunctions in the Vedas and different religious systems. The whole idea is to elevate us if we are depending on which guna we are in predominantly. So slowly elevating us. But Krishna consciousness is so nice that one can directly go all the way to Shuddha Sattva. Of course, one comes to Sattva Guna and then Shuddha Sattva Guna automatically by just Krishna consciousness. So sometimes in the Vedas and even great sages, they praise those things which elevate one, even though they may still be in the material world, just to encourage the person to elevate, keep elevating. But ultimately, they will reject anything that is material and accept only spiritual. But sometimes, to encourage others, they may sometimes praise material things, like in the mode of goodness. So I will show you Srimad Bhagavatam, (11, 13), I think 6. तत्तत् सात्विकम् एवैषां यद्यद् वृद्धाः प्रचक्षते निन्दन्ति तामसं तत्तत् राजसं तदुपेक्षितम्. Among the 10 items I have just mentioned, the great sages who understand Vedic knowledge have praised and recommended those that are in the mode of goodness, criticized and rejected those in the mode of ignorance, and shown indifference to those in the mode of passion. So there are many things, the 10 items, which if we associate with those things in different modes, we will get the different, that is our sangha, guna sangha. Guna sangha happens with these things in the previous verses. Agamopah prajadesha kalah karma cha janma cha dhyanam mantrotha samskaro dashaite guna hetavah. According to the quality of religious scriptures, water, one's association with one's children or with people in general, the particular place, time, activities, birth, meditation, chanting of the mantras and purificatory rituals, the modes of nature become differently prominent. So, if we associate with people in the mode of ignorance, then we become ignorant in the ignorance. And say water, if we are near Ganga, we are in the near spiritual waters, or if we are in some canal somewhere, some drain somewhere, that is not, that is a mode of ignorance, some other thing. The books we read, what kind of books we read? If we read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Amalam Puranam, so that is perfect. That is actually in the Shuddha Sattva. At least we will come to Sattva Gun by reading them, and then eventually climb above even and go to Shuddha Sattva. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. So Krishna is also saying, rise above the 3 modes, come to me. So although the Vedas sometimes encourage to go to the mode of goodness, so Rishis also, you see, 10 items I have mentioned. So with that we associate, right? So the great sages understand the Vedic knowledge, have praised and recommended those who are in the mode of goodness. Why are they engaging in praising and criticizing in the material sense? They're praising only with the with reference to elevation to the spiritual Shuddha Sattva platform. They are praising, they are praising this Sattvagun only because this place is closer to this than this place, mode of passion. Mode of passion is farther away from Shuddha Sattva than mode of goodness. So because it gets nearer to Shuddha Sattva, so this is praised. So only in relation to Shuddha Sattva actually. So actually what they're really doing is praising the Shuddha Sattva platform, which is Krishna consciousness. Only possible in Krishna consciousness. That is also explained by Lord Shiva, right? You know this? Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. Yadiyate tatra pumanapavritah sattve cha tasmin bhagavan vasudevo yadhokshjo me namasa vidhiyate. Lord Shiva is saying, I am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudeva in pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead known as Vasudeva is revealed without any covering. So this Shuddha Sattva, Sattvam Vishuddham. Suddenly it doesn't work now. Oh, it works. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. Vasudeva Sthiti or Shuddha Sattva Sthiti is called this transcendental goodness, which is above even material goodness. So the sages praise these, this mode of goodness only because of its proximity to the Shuddha Sattva. So actually they are praising only Shuddha Sattva, but it appears that they sometimes praise this mode of goodness and despise something. And they despise the mode of ignorance, criticize it because it will not help another person to go to Krishna. So because it defeats their self-interest, therefore he criticizes it. To educate them, so that they can come above, rise above. So in this way, one is guided ultimately to go to Krishna. So therefore, some people, they get stuck. They are called Vedavadarataha. They get stuck in this mode of goodness and think that is all in all. Just go to the heavenly planets and enjoy, and that's everything. And that is condemned. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipaschitah vedavadarataha parthan nanyadastiti vadinah kamatmanah svargapara janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishvarya gatim prati. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, result in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. So they think that to go to the heavenly planet, this sattva-gun is all in all. They think there is nothing more than this. So that's where they are mistaken. And therefore they are condemned by Krishna himself. So although it is in the mode of goodness, it's like this. If I have to go to New Delhi and I am in Singapore, the closer I get to the airport, the better I have a chance to catch the flight to New Delhi. So the airport or the proximity to the airport is a favorable condition for me to go to New Delhi. But even if I do reach the airport, if I do not board the plane, I cannot go to New Delhi. If I think that going to the airport is all in all, I am an idiot. Because airport is only a launch pad from where we launch, where we take off, and then take the flight and go to New Delhi. So, mode of goodness is only good if that is taken as a launch pad to Shuddha Sattva. But if we just get stuck in the mode of goodness without making any progress, but if I go to airport and then I become successful, if I dance there, then they will escort me out. Then I will go to the jail maybe, I will go to somewhere, mental hospital or somewhere. So I will be degraded again. So if I get stuck in the mode of goodness and then think that this is all in all, then it will eventually glide down. It will glide down. Because the mode of goodness can't stay unless we come to the Shuddha Sattva, where there is no relapse of these modes of nature. Shuddha Sattva means Sattva gun without any blemish of Rajo and Tamo gun. Whereas Rajo and Tamo gun, this is what is happening. If we stay in the material world, if we don't go to Shuddha Sattva, then there is competition. Rajas tamascha vibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata rajah sattvam tamaschaiva tamah sattvam rajas tatha. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. There is a nice, illustration of this. How these modes go into competition with each other and create this whole different opinions about the same thing, and sometimes mode of goodness is prominent, sometimes mode of passion is prominent, sometimes mode of ignorance is prominent, and that's why we revolve in different species. And also another I'll show you this scene. Tamo rajah sattvamiti prakriteera bhavan gunaah maya prakshobhyamanayah purushanumatena cha. When material nature was agitated by my glance, the three material modes, goodness, passion and ignorance, became manifest to fulfill the pending desires of the conditioned soul. So this creation, when it's finished, then there will be a destruction, and then there will be a silence for many trillions of years. So when the Supreme Lord breathes out again, then again the creation starts. At that time, those those souls who had material desires in the previous creation, they just go and mix with or merge into the body of Mahavishnu and stay there dormant, waiting for the next creation. And when the next creation happens, their pending desires, whatever they're pending, all they will come back with that, and they will continue in from where they have left off in the previous creation. So the three modes, material nature is agitated by my glance, the three modes become manifest. So in this purport, although not by Srila Prabhupada, again there is some interesting insight here. You see, the Lord casts his glance over material nature to remind her that the conditioned souls have not worked out their chain of fruitive activity and mental speculation, and that creation is therefore again necessary. The Lord desires that the conditioned souls get the opportunity to become Krishna conscious in love of Godhead by understanding the futility of life without the Lord. The modes of nature arise after the glance of the Lord and become inimical to one another. The modes of nature become inimical to one another, each mode attempting to conquer the other two. There is constant competition between birth, maintenance and annihilation. Now, birth comes from passion, creation comes from passion, Brahma is in charge. Maintenance comes from goodness, which is presiding deity is Vishnu, and annihilation comes from tamogun, which is presided by Lord Shiva, tamogun, mode of ignorance. Now, there is constant competition between there's constant competition between the modes, right? So birth, maintenance and annihilation also there is competition. You see, the example is given. Although a child desires to take birth, the cruel mother may desire to kill the child through abortion. So passion gives rise to creation, right? That's why when man and woman come together with passion, then there is creation of a child. You see, that is creation. Creation comes from passion. To maintain it, we need goodness. And to destroy it is ignorance. So passion is taken into effect, then ignorance comes and kills the child. A woman who is completely ignorant of the laws of nature may sometimes kill the child within the womb. Why? Because for her, she considers it as good. What is actually bad, she considers it as good because her mode of ignorance is prominent. So whatever in the mode of ignorance will seem good to her, and whatever in the mode of goodness will seem bad for her. Because it is interfering with her sense gratification, she is prepared to kill the child. Infanticide. It's not just abortion, it's infanticide. So, by the way, I'm coming up with a new video on abortion. So actually I was looking up about abortion. So that's how I ended up on this verse. Because when I searched the word abortion in this app, one of the results was this. So that's how I came into this. So this example was very nice. So passion is going to take effect, then ignorance comes and kills. So it's overpowering that. So that is the overpowering of ignorance over passion. Okay, so that is one example. Although we may desire to kill the weeds in a field, which is killing means again ignorance. It's a Rudra principle, destruction. So it is actually a manifestation of the mode of ignorance. They stubbornly take birth again and again. So again, mode of passion again takes over and overcomes the mode of ignorance. And sometimes even this woman who has aborted, maybe next time she doesn't want to have child, but she becomes pregnant. So she did not want, maybe that's mode of ignorance, but she wanted to destroy it or something, but her passion was overpowering, so passion sometimes takes over. So in this way, creation and annihilation, there's so much competition in every single way. Even in our own moods. Why people have mood swings? What is this mood swings? This is a swing in their influence of the modes. Their base is like climate and weather. Climate means, the seasons. There is some pattern, there is winter, there is summer, and there is rains or autumn or whatever. So that is the broad, general climatic changes. But weather changes on a day-to-day basis and even hour-to-hour basis sometimes, right? Minute to minute. So that's a more granular change. Climate is more or less the general landscape of what we can expect actually. So similarly, a person may have as a general disposition, like he is usually a cool person, but sometimes some things can get him, mad with anger or something like that. So mood swings will happen according to the influence of, again, sattva, raja, tamo guna. So in this way, everything there is sattva, raja, tamo competition. You see, those who are in the mode of goodness, they become prominent in the early morning hours. They become very active. Whereas the mode of ignorance people, they clubbing all night, then they at the time of Mangalarti Brahma Muhurta, they become inactive. So when the time becomes in the mode of goodness, the mode of ignorance, tamasic people become inactive, because that mode has come down. So people in that mode will also wind down their activities. And the mode of goodness people, they don't function much in the tamogun time, tamasic time, night. So they sleep at that time, and the ignorant people, tamasic people, they wake up. Passionate people, they are active throughout the day. They are not in the morning, not in the night so much. In the day, they get busy with all kinds of fruitive work. So in this way, we can see the action of the modes of material nature everywhere, and how they can be channeled so that we can rise through these modes and then come to Shuddha Sattva. That is the whole attempt here. So we have to get rid of this duality based on the material platform. This is good and this is bad, based on our own perception, our own influence of the three modes. And we have to accept the good and bad that is given by Kṛṣṇa. So he gives good, which is spiritual, something which will take us to Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Something which doesn't takes us far away from Kṛṣṇa consciousness, that is adharma. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. So we have to be in tune with dharma and against adharma. So that duality we have to maintain. And we also have to maintain the other duality, that we are eternally a servant of Kṛṣṇa, we don't become one. That duality is also, it's a spiritual duality. It's a proper application of duality. There is a negative connotation of duality, but there is a positive connotation, which is this, that we and the Lord are eternally separate, in the sense that eternally individual living beings, but we are eternally related also. It's like father and son, they don't become one. They are eternally two separate beings, but they are also related. They have an unbreakable relationship. A son cannot say that this is not my father. It is his father, because that person has fathered this person. So that relation cannot be removed, at least until this body is existing. That cannot be removed. So similarly, our relation with Kṛṣṇa cannot be nullified at any cost. It's either we forget that, or we are aware of that. That's all. So that duality has to be maintained, but there has to be complete agreement with the Lord. And then, yes, we will transcend this world of duality and go to the spiritual world. In this regard, so we have feelings like happiness or desire or anger or greed and all these things. These we consider as bad things, kama, krodha, moha. In fact, Trividham Narakasyedam Dwaram Nashanamaatmanaha Kama Krodha Tatha Lobhas Tasmad Etat Trayam Tyajet. There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. So we have to give up lust, anger, and greed. But since we are persons, we are supposed to have feelings, and there is this duality, spiritual and material, that duality. So, Narottam Das Thakur says, so Narottam Das Thakur is saying very nicely in the Prema Bhakti Chandrika, Kama Krodha Lobha Moha Mada Matsarya Dambha Saha Sthane Sthane Niyukta Karibo Ananda Kari Hridaya Ripu Kari Parajoy Anayase Govinda Bhajibo Kama Krishna Karmarpane Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane Lobha Sadhu Sange Harikatha Moha Ishtalabha Vine Mada Krishna Gunagane Niyukta Karibo Yatha Tatha. Now these contaminations can be spiritualized. The duality can be spiritualized. So he is saying, I will engage lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, envy and pride in appropriate ways, and by defeating these enemies I will feel happiness in my heart as I peacefully worship Govinda. I will engage lust by offering it in Krishna's service. Lust means desire. So I want to desire to serve Krishna. I will desire to serve Krishna. So that is a desire. But it is not for me, it's for Krishna. Anger I will direct towards those who are envious of the devotees. Just like Narasimhadev, he also showed anger. Hey, how can God become angry? Of course he can. Where does anger come from, do you think? Janmadhyasya yataha. Janmadhya yasya yataha. Everything, Janma Adi, Janma, Sthiti and Pralaya. Everything comes from Krishna. So everything has emanated from him. Anger has also come from him. So Hiranyakashipu became very angry. Why? Because his devotee was offended. Somebody, what is somebody? Father. Hiranyakashipu, he was antagonistic to his devotee. So Narasimhadev became very angry. Similarly, that is the Lord. And the devotee, Hanuman, we see, became very angry. Why? Because Ravana became against Ram and he kidnapped Mother Sita. So because he has offended the devotee and the Lord, that's it. Bhakta Dveshi Jane, Krodha. So this is, and until now Hanuman is worshipped for his anger, proper use of anger. Ravana also was angry, but his anger was against Ram and therefore he is condemned. Hanuman was angry, but he used it for killing Ravana. And Kama, for example, you see, Ravan went in search of Mother Sita. Hanuman also went in search of Mother Sita. But one is praised, one is condemned. Why? Ravan is condemned because he went in search of Mother Sita, went to the forest even, and grabbed her and came back. Now Hanuman's job also was same. He will find Sita and bring her back. But he is praised because he wants it for the Lord, whereas Ravana wanted her for himself. So these are the same thing, but duality. But this is material and spiritual, praising and criticism, good and evil. So evil means not simply some horns and fangs and scary eyes. No. Evil means anything that is. Maya is very clever. If somebody evil person comes with like that, some fangs, everybody will be scared. But she doesn't want that person to get scared. She wants to become charmed. She wants that person to be charmed by her Maya tricks. So she will bring the rascal in a very, handsome, very beautiful way, beautiful packaging, so that it appeals to everyone. Maya is very clever. So we only for our convenience we show evil as some evil like this, but actually evil can come in very nice pleasant packaging. Sweet poison. I actually made that TikTok, Instagram. Not that time there were no reels. I actually need to put that on reels and also on the YouTube shorts. All my old TikToks I need to actually put it on the YouTube shorts as well. There I actually posted it on Instagram as a video. Maybe that can be shared in the comments, where I said this Maya is sweet poison. I demonstrated it with a short video. So that's how the packaging is. The packaging is like that. So anger I will direct towards those who are envious of the devotees. I will be greedy to hear the topics of Hare in the association of devotees. And instead of becoming greedy for money, we can become greedy for hearing topics of Hare in the association of devotees. I will feel illusioned without having my worshipable Lord, without achieving my worshipable Lord. Just like Brahmara Gita, Srimati Radharani became bewildered and she was talking to a bumblebee out of her madness and love for Krishna. Let me become mad. Feel illusioned in my separation of Krishna. See? That is actually Vipralambha. It is even more ecstatic than meeting Krishna. I will be maddened while singing the glories of Krishna. So instead of become Mada means this madness. So let me be mad by singing the glories of Krishna. In this way I will engage these enemies in their proper places. So although they are enemies, but in service of Krishna they become friends. There is a similar verse. Of course, I will show you one verse first. I hope this is the correct number. Krishna bhakti rasabhavita mate kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate tatra mulyam tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam janmakoti sukritairna labhyate. How to get Krishna bhakti? Laulyam means greed. So greed is glorified here. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. Greed. Another greed is also there in the Padyavali. Vicheyani vicharyani vichintyani punah vicheyani vicharyani vichintyani punah kripanasya dhanani va tvannamani bhavantunah. O Lord, just as a miser continually collects, counts and remembers his money, in the same way let us continually collect, count and remember your holy names. Bhavananda. So not only his holy names, his verses about him. In this way, a devotee is also greedy and like a miser collects and all this. But collects means how to collect? Only when we share it with someone. The more we use those verses, more we chant the names, then we will collect more and more. It will stay with us more and more, the more we apply them. Knowledge is like that. The more we give, the more we retain it, unlike money. So in this way, I think you get the point. So we have to rise above the dualities of delusion by coming to the real platform of proper duality, which is being able to distinguish. Atma Tattvam means being able to distinguish between spirit and matter first, and then being able to distinguish between ourselves and the Supreme Lord. That's the second duality. If I confuse myself with the Supreme Lord, that's again illusion. I will fall back into illusion. So this duality, this proper duality has to be but of course there is also non-duality, because we are eternally related. This is achintya bheda bheda tattva. So we have to combat material duality with spiritual duality, and that in that way we can conquer this entirely. It is not to become devoid of any feelings, devoid of anything. No, we have to have feelings. Narottam Das Thakur is saying, let me have feelings of anger, of greed, of desire, but everything in Krishna's service, directed towards Krishna. So that is the way to conquer this or combat this duality. So that's where I would want to end this explanation. And if there are any questions regarding this, we can explore that. Any points to add? Okay, Divya Mataji. Prabhuji, is it only pure devotee or beginner devotee also knows or sees Krishna when Krishna hides? As you once said, raw mango or fruit mango, mango is still mango. Yes, but one who is not a pure devotee may make mistakes in his judgment. So, a beginner devotee cannot actually. He cannot. He makes mistakes. That's why he has these problems dealing with devotees in his own mindset. Why he has problem? Because he is bhinna drik bhavam. Only a pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere, not others. It's not accessible to anyone else. Premanjana churita bhakti. Prema is the highest attainment. In the chronology of advancement of devotion, prema is at the highest. Only that person who has achieved prema can see Krishna everywhere, not for others. He may accept first in the beginning the deity, and then eventually he may understand that Krishna is everywhere, but he cannot see. But seeing happens only when one is a pure devotee. If the devotee has attained mode of transcendental goodness, that person can see Krishna. Externally, the person may be beginner. If the beginner's consciousness is free from the three modes of material nature. What are you talking about? In the beginning stage, we cannot see Krishna. We can understand by instructions that this is Krishna, even the deity, this is Krishna. Krishna is everyone's heart. But we cannot see. Of course, as a deity, we are seeing him. But we are not understanding. Our realization is not to the extent of prema. So therefore, we cannot see Krishna. We cannot just rise to transcendental goodness just like that. One has to go through the rigorous thing. Of course, if one is fortunate enough to go to transcendental goodness, yes, he can. But then he will not fall down after that. If he has attained the lotus feet of Krishna, he will never fall down. So, externally that person may be beginner. No, beginner devotee, if he is Kanishta-adhikari, he cannot. He cannot have this. See, there is this verse. You see, Hantasmin janmani bhavan mamam drashtumiharhati avipaksha kashayanam durdarshoham kuyoginam. O Narada, the Lord spoke, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me. So, naham prakasha sarvasya, yogamaya samavritah. Only for one who is purified from this, he can see Krishna. That's why, we have to be very careful in this, because neophyte, if he suddenly imitates the Mahabhagavad saying, oh, I am suddenly in this pure goodness now I can see Krishna. Oh, now I have fallen down into ignorance, It doesn't happen that way. So we cannot, that is sahajiya. Sahajiya means, oh, I have seen Krishna, without being any qualification. This I saw Krishna suddenly. Krishna is, one lady wrote a book like that, Prabhupada condemned. That, Krishna is pulling my sari and asking me to come to have Ras Leela with him. It's kind of nonsense, rubbish. Dimitri, interesting purport. A serious devotee tries to unite everyone, whereas the Kanishta Adhikari who prone to fault finding doesn't do so. Yeah. Actually, Madhvacharya says more about this. Madhvacharya in 11.247. This is about the Kanishta Adhikari. Srila Madhvacharya comments that one in the lowest stage of devotional service faithfully worships the deity in the temple but is not aware that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually all-pervading. The same mentality can be seen in the Western countries where people commit all types of sinful activities in their homes and in the street but then piously go to a church and pray to God for mercy. Okay, this is one thing, but especially I want to see this. Srila Madhvacharya states, Archayam eva samsthitam Vishnum gyatva tadanyatra naiva janati yah puman. A Kanishta Adhikari has no idea that the Supreme Lord has the power to exist outside a church or temple. Furthermore, being puffed up by his own ceremonial worship, Atmano Bhaktidarpataha, a Kanishta Adhikari cannot imagine that anyone is more pious or religious than he, and he is not even aware that other devotees are more advanced. Thus, he cannot understand the Madhyama or Uttama standard of devotional service, and sometimes because of his false pride, he criticizes the more advanced devotees of the Lord, neglects them, or simply has no understanding of their exalted position as preachers or completely self-realized souls. Another symptom of Kanishta Adhikari is that he is infatuated by the material qualifications of so-called great materialistic persons. Having a bodily concept of life himself, he is attracted by material opulence and thus minimizes the position of the Supreme Lord Vishnu and gives importance to material opulence. Such a Kanishta Adhikari therefore is disturbed if a second-class devotee criticizes the non-devotees of the Lord. A Kanishta Adhikari is disturbed if second-class devotee criticizes the non-devotees of the Lord. In the name of compassion or kindness, a Kanishta Adhikari approves of the non-devotional activities of such materialistic men. Because the Kanishta Adhikari is ignorant of the higher realms of devotional service and the unlimited transcendental bliss of Krishna consciousness, he sees devotional service merely as a religious aspect of life, but thinks that life has many enjoyable and worthwhile non-devotional aspects. Therefore, he becomes angry when second-class devotees who are experiencing that Krishna is everything criticize the non-devotees. Madhvacharya says that such a person, because of his rudimentary faith in Krishna, is considered a devotee, but he is bhakta adhama, a devotee on the lowest standard. If such materialistic devotees follow the rules and regulations of deity worship, they will gradually be elevated to a higher standard and eventually become pure devotees of the Lord, unless they commit offenses against each other devotees, in which case their advancement will be checked. This is very important, you see. And separatist, being a separatist and a devotee, separatist devotee. Devotee means actually should be in unison. His thing should be, his attitude should be in unison with the Lord. But no. Abhisandhaya yohimsam dambham matsaryameva vasamram bhinna drigbhavam mai kuryat satamasaha. A devotee in a mode of ignorance. Devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent and angry and who is a separatist is considered to be in the mode of darkness or tamogun. Next, 329.9. Just now it was 329.8. Vishayanabhisandhaya yasha aishwaryameva va archā-dveṣa-samutthena yedyomam prithak bhāvasa-rājasah. The worship of deities in the temple by a separatist with a motive for material enjoyment, fame and opulence is devotion in the mode of passion. Separatist. Again, prithak bhava, bhinna drigbhava, in the previous verse. Karma nirharam uddishya parasminva tadarpanam yajed yashtavyam itiva pratak bhava sa satvikaham. Pratak bhava, again pratak bhava. Although sattvika, still pratak bhava. Unless one comes to the Shuddha Sattva, it is not complete anukulyana Krishnanushilanam, anyabhilashita shunyam. It is not there yet. When a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the result of his activities in order to free himself from the inebriaties of fruitive activities, his devotion is in the mode of goodness. So, still the focus is to become free from one's own sinful activity. So, that is a problem. So, he still does not have pure devotion to Krishna. He just wants to get freed from sinful activity, and therefore he performs devotional service. So, that is in the mode of goodness, but it's not pure yet. Pure means like this. Madguna shruti matrena mayi sarva-guhāṣaye mano gatira vicchinna yatha gangam bhasom budho lakshanam bhakti yogasya nirgunasya hyudahritam ahaitukya-vyavahita ya bhakti purushottame. The manifestation of unadulterated devotional service is exhibited when one's mind is at once attracted to hearing the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is residing in everyone's heart. Just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows towards the Supreme Lord. BG 238. Sukha dukkhe. Sukha dukkhe same kritva लाभा लाभौ जया जयौ ततो युद्धाय युज्यस्व naivam papam avapsyasi. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness and distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin. This we have to do for Krishna. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha gurau tasyete katitha hi arthaha prakashante mahatmanaha. Unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, all the imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. Shvetashvatara Upanishad 623. So we can know everything if you know Krishna. Nishita Madhya says, one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. Yeah. So he is thinking he is doing the great thing, and for other country it is, he is a terrorist. Fair to say material good is anything that is conducive to devotional service or advancement towards devotional service for an individual, so it could still be subjective. So, I don't fully understand, but yes, what is it? Anasaktasya vishayan yatharham upayunjataha nirvandha Kṛṣṇa sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. So we can, just like Narottam Das Thakur has spiritualized those so-called vices. So in the same way, anything that is bad is only when it is disconnected from Krishna. Then it becomes material. When it is used in Krishna's service, then it becomes spiritual and is not bad anymore. So the same thing, when used without Krishna consciousness, it is bad, and when used in Krishna consciousness, it is good. The only difference now is the duality is based on what is favorable to Krishna and not according to what is favorable to my sense gratification. Rishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhaktiruchyate. So by our senses, we have to serve Krishna's senses. So for whatever is good for his gratification, so that becomes the criterion of what is good and what is bad, instead of my own sense gratification. Like a phone is bad if we get distracted by all this stupid social media, but if it is good if we follow the right people who are devotees, who inspire us in Krishna consciousness, and if we put out content based on Krishna consciousness, directing other people to take to it. So, in one case it is good, one case it is bad. But the criterion is Kṛṣṇa. So, in that way. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. When one is not attached to anything but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Kṛṣṇa, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. This is that anasaktasya vishayan prapanchakataya buddhya. Rajaram Kalal. Is it possible to have tamoguna and sattvaguna at the same time? Hare Krishna. Yes, we have combinations and permutations, different degrees of these sattvagun, rajagun, tamogun. There are only 3 modes, but there are 8.4 million species, and even if you take only just one species, like even the different races of human beings are considered different species. Even if you take one race, one language, one say one family, okay, even in that there is so much difference. One person is in one kind, one person another kind. Why? Because of the different degrees to which these modes are present in him. For example, everyone is a combination of influence of these 3 modes to different degrees. So let's take the entire influence of material nature is 100%. Maybe 60% is mode of goodness for one person, and 30% passion, 10% ignorance. Or it can be 52% or say 22% goodness, 57% passion and 21% ignorance. So there is this unlimited combinations or permutations that are possible on how much percentage of these 3 modes can be had in a single person. So sometimes, therefore, even though he may have predominantly in the mode of ignorance, there might be something which may elevate him to, there may be something which he may have in the mode of goodness. I'll give an example. Like, I find this very striking. In Singapore, so the Chinese people, mostly, they eat all kinds of food stuff, right? Meat, any kind of meat, whatever they eat everything. So according to our understanding, that is tamogun. But they have this one quality very good, that they are very charitable. They have this indoctrination in the childhood and everything, but maybe because of Buddhist influence and all that, they are charitable. So that will help them. So sometimes they may employ that charitable nature towards the temple or towards the prasadam distribution or something like that, and then they may benefit. So that is definitely of the mode of goodness. So everybody has this mixture, and in fact, it is said that even the demigod worship can be here. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhyalila 24.330. In material consciousness, however, even one who is situated in the mode of goodness is susceptible to pollution by the modes of passion and ignorance. When the mode of goodness is mixed with the mode of passion, one worships the sun god, Vivaswan. When the mode of goodness is mixed with the mode of ignorance, one worships Ganapati or Ganesh. When the mode of passion is mixed with the mode of ignorance, one worships Durga or Kali, the external potency. When one is simply in the mode of ignorance, one becomes a devotee of Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva is the predominating deity of the mode of ignorance within this material world. However, when one is completely free from the influence of all the modes of material nature, one becomes a pure Vaishnava on the devotional platform. So even demigod worship is influenced by this influence of the modes. And even the Varnashram system, there are 3 modes but 4 divisions. Mode of goodness, Brahmanas. Kshatriyas are in the mode of goodness and passion. Vaishyas are in the mode of passion and ignorance. Shudras are in ignorance. So in that way, there is combination. There is so much combinations. 8.4 million species of life, and each species has so much variety, individual variety. All this is because of different degrees of passion, goodness, and ignorance. Rajaram asks, is there more beyond Rajo, Tama, and Sattvagun? Yes, so that is the spiritual world. We have actually described that. Shuddha Sattva, which is beyond. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. That is the Turiya Sthiti. Fourth. Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvastho Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Nistraigunya. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. So Krishna consciousness is that platform above the three modes. Criminal activities commonly taking place at night times. Yes, mode of ignorance, mostly happens in the night. Srikant Tupurani. Why people commit sinful activities even though they know that they are doing wrong? People who control meat industry are aware of the wrong things they are doing. They don't have sufficient faith that it is wrong. If they are really, really convinced that it is dangerous for themselves and others, they will quit. Suppose, if you know it is poison, you don't continue taking it, right? You will immediately give it up. Or if somebody is coming with a knife, you immediately will run. Not just you will sit down there and let him put the knife here and let him slit the throat and you just sit down there. No. So when something is dangerous, you will immediately refrain from it or go away from there. So they don't have sufficient faith that actually this will cause misery in the future. They know it is wrong because of some, their parents or grandparents must have told something, but for money they are doing it. They do not know how dangerous this is. If they really know, they will not do it. If they know and they are doing it, that means they don't have sufficient faith in what they know. And it is all because of lust. Arjuna asked the exact same question here, 336 of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna uvacha atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. This question by Arjuna is exactly the same here. O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So Krishna answers this question. Shri Bhagavan uvacha kama esha krodha esha rajo guna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidhyenam mihavairinam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, which is in the mode of ignorance, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So lust is what causes us to engage in all kinds of sinful activities, even against our desire. Like we see, a woman may be very mild-natured, very kind or very nice, but she, without having the knowledge of Krishna consciousness and the Atma Tattvam, how the birth and death take place, what is the soul, what is the body, she, out of ignorance, may commit an abortion. She did not want to do it, but lust. And then she gave up. And then she aborted. So abortion is basically murder. Abortion is a very misleading word. So murders. She is otherwise very mild-natured woman, but murders. How? Lust. So our lust for not only sex, but our material enjoyment, like you said, the people who control the meat industry are aware of the wrong things, but he is so lusty. He wants the money. Money is more important to him than anything else. He's an idiot. He doesn't know how much danger he's getting into. So lust. Keep on doing, even unwilling. And sometimes, one have to, for money he may do anything. Like being a driver for McDonald's delivery. McDonald's, what they're doing? Meat. And if one becomes a delivery driver for that, finish. You're directly engaging in distributing meat. And you will be punished, according to Mani Samhita. Mayavadis argue by saying about Narasimha, anger is the mode of ignorance, and say Krishna was under Rajogun. That's why they are Mayavadis. Actually, they are in Tamogun, they don't know anything else. Divya Mataji is saying the above link has 10 TikTok videos by Tattvavit Prabhuji, out of which the first one is the sweet face of illusion. I don't know where's the link, I don't see the link. It's there in my vlog, I think, but it's not. That greed to obtain devotional service doesn't turn into envy. It can. So that envy, though, is spiritualized. Like if somebody is doing a better service than oneself, one can think, wow, he is doing so much better service, so please give me mercy so that I can also become good in my service. So there's no envy. It's not exactly envy, but it's being inspired by such devotee. Like a materialist, he will become inspired by another successful so-called materialist, but that he takes the inspiration and tries to overtake even that other person or whatever, or he may do it in his own way or something like that. So he wants to carve out his own name and fame and like that, and his own empire. But the devotee actually has no envy. Devotee is always praising another devotee who is highly qualified, and by such praising, he will also advance in devotional service. Just by praising another devotee. Smaranti nandanti tavehitam janaha taiva pashyant achirena tahvakam bhava pravaho paramam padambujam shrinvanti gayanti grinanti abhikshnasaha smaranti nandanti tavehitam janaha. Nandanti means one who takes pleasure in others doing so. One who takes pleasure in others doing devotional service. And he will taiva pashyanti achirena tavakam bhava pravaho paramam padambujam. He will very quickly see the lotus feet of the Lord. There is no place for envy for the devotees. Nirmatsara. Nirmatsaranam. Devotees without matsarata. So it is not envy, it is in fact it is opposite. He is inspired by such devotee and takes the mercy, requests that devotee for his mercy. Narasimhadev occupied entire hall of Hiranyakashipu waiting for where Prahlad Maharaj show God before he appeared in the pillar. Does this mean Vishnu doesn't know what devotee and individual soul think? What? What kind of question is that? What kind of question is that? Oh, he is waiting in the entire hall. Wherever my Prahlad shows, there I will come from. So he doesn't know where he will show, so he will just waiting everywhere. So whichever. Come on, this is a very, very materialistic understanding of the Lord. The Lord is everywhere and he can come out from any pillar. Not only the pillar that Hiranyakashipu showed. So anywhere, without pillar, he can come from just thin air, or from the nostril of Brahma, or from anywhere. Come on. What are the effects of black magic on a person? And I have also heard from a devotee that Muslim Tantra also coexist. What are your views on it? Let's try to understand. So these kind of questions are not for this session. You can ask this in the AM. I think you did ask. I did not get to your answer because your question because I was only answering the previous session's questions. But next time in the AM you ask this. Let's keep this questioning for this particular subject of this dualities of delusion. I'm neutral in ISKCON versus Ritvik debate as I'm scared of aparadh, but if ISKCON version of Krishna consciousness is incorrect and Prabhupada ji is Diksha Guru, then why is ISKCON spreading more? Again, not related to our topic. Please ask questions related to our topic. That's the proper way to ask questions on a lecture. AM session, Ask Me Anything session is for that purpose, where you can ask any question. Yes, and please follow this thing. Prabhupada set up like this. Prabhupada did not want distracting questions. But ISKCON, Ritvik, why are they spreading more? Well, first of all, they have a 50 years of runway, and Prabhupada gave a huge push start. And they're growing in numbers, but quality is decreasing. Quality, we want quality, not like milk can be increased in quantity by adding water. That does not mean it is proper milk actually. Milk going mixed with water. So we want milk quantity increased, not simply the show of milk quantity. So we want real thing. Boil it down. Prabhupada said, what is the use of adding more water to the milk? Boil down the milk, make it more concentrated and thick and sweet. So that means boil down means to train the devotees that are already there and make them quality. So when one offends Krishna, a pure devotee, there are many endeavors in ISKCON to try to expand, but they themselves are so much infighting is going on. Anyway, I don't want to delve too much on this because that is not the whole topic of this class. Okay, you ask that in the different. Please don't refrain from this practice. This is very disturbing to the others because everybody has come to this session for this particular subject. Let us understand the subject properly. Are you listening to the class or something else you have? You just want your own agenda and own questions. You have to follow this system set up by Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Sweet face illusion reel. Yeah. This is the instant. It's not exactly a reel. It's a post, video post. At that time, there were no reels 2 years back, at least in Singapore. Dimitri, there are pictures of different diseases on a pack of cigarettes, but people still smoke. Although they say they know it's bad, but actually they don't. Yeah, they don't take it seriously. If senior devotee shows separatist character, for example, if he is thinking he is Tamilan, may have an inferior complex that others may not accept his instructions. Tamilian. Yeah, he has to come out of it, That's what this whole Krishna consciousness is about. This only, we have to come out of this whole bodily concept. Prabhuji so clearly illustrated dualities by drawing the quadrants to teach us what to condemn and also combinations with their percentages. Today we felt like being in a spiritual mathematics class. Please explain that akarma and vikarma verse. So we have actually already done this. We have done our lecture on 417, 418, 416 and all that. So you can go and watch our playlists, and if somebody can help with that, and they can please help share the link of akarma and vikarma, that verse. We have explained this in length in that lecture, 4th chapter, which is already finished. Now we are in the 7th chapter now, So you can go and watch that. There is a playlist on our YouTube channel, which is chapter 4, Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 or something. There you can find 417, 418, you can find there. If somebody has the link, please share. Sorry Prabhuji, now I will ask questions on question answer session. Haribol should have asked related question to the session. Yes. Thank you for your understanding though. Rahul is saying, any tip for better chanting? Just recently, Somagiri Prabhu released one YouTube short of Prabhupada instruction on how to chant, better tip for chanting. Better chanting, tip for better chanting. Hear. When we are chanting, hear what we are saying. Focus on the hearing what we are saying. That's it. That one thing has all the instructions inside it. We have to hear what we are chanting. That's the whole point. And to have a proper mood while chanting, that's why we have to learn Vaishnava bhajans, we have to read Prabhupada's books. Then we'll have the proper mood of chanting, because all the Vaishnava bhajans are actually expansions of the Mahamantra, and they describe the mood in which Mahamantra should be chanted. So we have to learn these songs and at least the meanings, you at least read. And also, read Prabhupada's books, because the philosophy will make us have more faith in what we're doing, and we understand the glories of the holy name even more, and that will increase our focus in chanting. Because sometimes why we get distracted by other things while chanting, because we think that is more attractive than what I am chanting. So we're not thoroughly convinced that this is the most attractive thing. Chanting the holy name is the most attractive thing. We don't have that. Akrishtihi krita chetasam sumanasam ucchatanam chamhasam. Achandalamama amukaloka sulabho vashyascha mukti shriya no diksham na cha satkriyam na cha purascharyam managikshate mantroyam rasana sprageva phalati Shri Kṛṣṇa namatmaka. The holy name of Lord Kṛṣṇa is an attractive feature for many saintly liberal people. So it is very attractive, but for saintly liberal people, not for those who are not. They having convictions of many other enjoyable aspects of this material world, they will not be attracted to hearing the holy name. So the more we understand the glories of the holy name, the more we get attracted to the holy name, and the more we can focus on the holy name and put all that learning into practice. So therefore Shravanam and Kirtanam should go on eternally, so that our chanting can always improve. Last question, why do we have so much importance for Tulasi Devi in our scriptures? So this question, again, actually even for chanting it's not related to this class, but chanting is our Yuga Dharma, so I have answered. Tulasi, why do we have so much importance? Okay, here is the story of Tulasi playlist. We have done a lecture series on this, please go and watch. And this is the Karma, Vikarma, Akarma lecture. This is also here, so you can watch. So please ask questions, Rahulji, please ask questions on the subject matter under discussion. Do not ask something out of the thing. Alright, so chapter 4 playlist, okay, it's here. This playlist is also, link is here. Chanting must be heard by you. Yeah, this is the short, Prabhupada short, a YouTube short of Prabhupada instruction. So this is the thing, these are the instructions. Alright, so thank you all very much. Yes, actually if that link also can be shared, I recommend you watch a class by His Grace Nandagopal Prabhu on it. It's called How to Improve on Our Chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There is a link of that video, so if that can be shared, that is a very good class actually. Nice instructions in that. I will just wait for that link to come, and then I will close this session. Alright. So the next session will be on Saturday again. I'll just wait for that one verse. So this is how we have to conduct ourselves, come out of this dualities of delusion. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. Accepting all the things favorable for Krishna consciousness and rejecting all the unfavorable things that do not make us progress in Krishna consciousness. So that is our duality. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. So Nectar instruction is based on these two principles, on do's and don'ts. Smartavya satatam Vishnu, vismartavya na jatu chit. So always remember Krishna and never forget him. And this is the video of how to improve on our chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this is also included. So these all links will be included in our description and pinned comment of this video after this live stream is finished. So you can access it. Alright, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.